Hello again and welcome back to another fine Sunday night. Tonight I have another vlog for you where I shoot a sunset in Hawthorn Tree on Dartmoor above Burrator Reservoir. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to talk you through my process in the field, how I take the images, settings that I use, filters, the usual sort of thing. But at the end I'm going to do something a little bit different because I'm going to critique my own images. And I'm going to explain to you guys what I like and what I don't like about my own sort of photographs that I've taken. The reason being, I nearly didn't show this video because I shot these images a few weeks ago and I'm not really totally happy with them. So I want to sort of make something of it and get to the point where you learn something from it, and maybe I get a bit of value from it as well in sharing it. The way that I can get some value from it is if you join in with a critique, because if you're shy and don't join in and don't comment on my videos, then I'm not going to learn and get better myself. So I'm all for you sort of adding some comments to it for me and let me know what you think, and obviously share it with your own groups and your own friends as well. So, as if by magic, what we're going to do now is we're going to disappear up onto Burrator at sunset a few weeks ago, and hope you enjoy it, and obviously comment at the end as well. Okay, so hello, I'm back up here again. I'm not sure if you can actually remember me coming up to this location or not, but if you can't, then I did a recce up here a few weeks ago and visited it. If I can still find the footage, then I'll put it at the front of this video, so everything I'm saying to you doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But if you didn't notice it, then we've come to a location very close to my home. We're just up above Burrator Reservoir. I'm looking across the reservoir, and I've just set up this picture where we are now, and I've sort of omitted videoing some of the story that I've been working on because I've had to work fairly quickly because the light's changing. As the light sort of drops behind Leathertor, the other side of Sheepstore where we are, it's changing quite quick. But I've been taking pictures down through the valley across the top of the reservoir, using a hawthorn tree and some granite to sort of make it a good situation. So I'm just going to catch hold of the camera that I'm doing the videoing on for a moment and show you the type of thing that I've been working on, and then as the light changes I'm going to take a few more pictures as well, and in a minute the contrast will drop a little bit more and I'll be able to get some better control in there and take some other pictures. So like I said, just bear with me for a moment. If I pan the camera around, you'll probably struggle to see what's going on because the light is really, really bright. But trust me, down there, just down the other side of here, you'll be able to see down past Burrator and using the hawthorn tree that I've spoken about in the foreground here. And as you can see, the sun's very, very bright on the right hand side, so I won't try and video that anymore because it's just not working. So back to the camera in hand. So if we come in a little bit closer and just have a look at the direction in which I've been shooting, and we'll try and use this to sort of give you an idea of what we've been doing now. So let's zoom in on the back of the camera a little bit if that's possible. Let me just get down here and I'll switch the camera back on. So here we go again. Let me just have a look at the back of the camera now. So if we just, it's gone back to sleep. Switch it back on there, look. I think I'm just taking a picture by mistake. Didn't mean to do that. Let's put it on playback mode. Okay. So there we are, back in playback mode. So if you can see what I've been doing, obviously it's really contrasty screen, so I'll scroll back through. But basically, we've got the hawthorn tree there in the background, and looking down across the thing, you'll see that I've been bracketing my exposures quite a bit. Not only have I done that, I've been shooting at about f11, and I've also decided to focus stack so I can get the tree dead sharp and also get the background sharp as well. But in some of the pictures, a nice line of trees up on the foreground, trees in the background that I wanted to bring in as well. But you'll see, as I go back through, I've sort of taken a few different compositions and worked on it. There's a few trial shots I worked on earlier. Sorry, it's going back to another video. So there we go. So I'm going to put it back on the camera, back on the tripod stand, and shoot more pictures. I may even have a cup of tea in a minute. Well, I've been caught out. I was really surprised how quick and how sudden the light changed as soon as the oh, my dog's trying to get hold of me. I was really surprised how quick and how sudden it was that the light changed as soon as the sun dropped behind Leather Tor. So I've really been caught out this time. Anyway, I'm going to try and take some pictures. There's no light on the trees in the foreground at all, but there's some nice sort of hues and tones in the sky. The only problem is the sky is completely devoid of any clouds or anything whatsoever. So it's looking a little bit flat. So this is almost definitely going to be my last picture. I'm sorry, excuse me. But to just sort of give you an idea of what I'm actually working on, because the sky is so bright compared to the foreground, I've loaded up a Lee 0.75 and a 0.6 neutral density filtered and slightly staggered them a little bit just to give me the control over the sky that I wanted. I focused on the Hawthorn Tree in the foreground, and I'm shooting in the order of something like F11, F16, and I'll be bracketing my exposures using the shutter speed. So let's take a few pictures now and just get this out of the way. As always, I'm using the mirror lockup and the timer remote as well. So using live view, like I say, I've already focused anyway. So first picture is +1 stop. There we go. Bring that down another 2/3 of a stop. Final 2/3 of a stop. Final 2/3 of a stop again. And that'll be it. So only leaves for me now to actually pack up and finish up for the day. So first things first, put all the filters and everything away. But it's been a great trip coming up here today. I really enjoyed sort of taking these photographs, and it's been great to sort of be able to get out just a few feet away from home and sort of take some images quite easily. The beauty of sort of coming back to locations like this, if these images don't work out, then I'll simply just sort of come back again in a few weeks, few days time or whatever. I might come back up again because the hawthorn trees towards the end of May will sort of have this beautiful sort of white blossom on them, and when that happens, they're going to be really good. So I'm going to put the rest of this equipment away now, and like I say, the temperature's really dropped as well, and the sun's come out of the way. So I'm going to do that, then head back down to the car. So really, at this point of proceedings, I'd really like to be able to tell you what the next video is going to be. But as I stand here right now, I've absolutely no idea whatsoever. Other than that, there is one in the pipeline and one on the way. What I will be doing, however, though, is I'll put up along the bottom of the screen, if I can, what the next video is going to be about. But I do hope that you come along and join me next time. And all being well, mustn't forget the dog. And all being well, we'll see you next time on Sunday night. It'll either be 1 week or 2 weeks away. We'll see how things work out and how busy we are, how many photographs we've got in the pipeline. So up for now. So bye for now, and I'll see you later. Okay, so as I said at the beginning
of this vlog, I wanted to really sort of review both of the photographs at the end. And the reason for that is really that I'm not totally happy with the evening's photography and how it went out and what happened really. The first image up on the screen certainly sort of like disappoints me more than the second one, which actually I'm quite pleased with in the end. But let me give you some background to it. I'd sort of done a pre-planning trip really, and had in my mind what this image was going to look like and how it was going to turn out. And it had the sun setting behind the hawthorn tree. It was full of, you know, sort of like the white blossom that you get in May, and it had a nice sort of clear blue sky with some nice colour in the clouds and everything else, and everything was wonderful and exactly how I wanted it to be. Often the reality with landscape photography, and something that can be quite difficult to deal with, especially if you're new to it, is that things don't really ever sort of match exactly your expectations. So sometimes if you're in the wrong frame of mind, you kind of lose a bit of your enthusiasm for photographing a subject and fall out of love with the images before you've even sort of edited them or looked at them properly. And that's kind of what happened here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of like go through these videos, go through these images now, and put them up on the screen one at a time and explain to you what it is I like about each one and what it is that I don't like. So just bear with me whilst I sort of pan around and get that sorted. Okay, so this first picture here on the right hand side that I'm sort of circling now with the mouse pointer is the first one that I took, and this is the second one. So we're going to go in and have a look at the first one to begin with, and then I'll explain to you a bit about the image. So I just need to actually pick that picture, go into Window, Arrange, Workspace, Consolidate tabs, and let's sort of like let's fit on screen. Oh, I zoom back a little bit, I like it a bit further back. So let's just zoom that in. There we go. So I'm quite happy with that. So my original concept for this was that it was going to be a picture that incorporated this hawthorn tree. What I had in my mind was the sun sort of setting behind it and the tree being in blossom, and what we would have got from that is a situation where you would really be able to sort of like see the light coming through the blossom, and I had this nice blue sky in the background and warm light and sort of things that I got there. Now when I sort of actually got to take the picture, I probably left it a little bit too late in the year, so the sun's a bit further around to the right of the image than I wanted it to be, and also the tree, you know, there was no blossom on it either. I'd missed it this year, or it already blossomed and fallen away, but it's just not exactly what I wanted. Anyway, what I decided to do was to make the tree sort of like the focus of the image, but also this fantastic side lighting falling down on this granite on the left hand side, which worked quite well. Now some of you may say, oh well, the background's a little bit blurred, it's out of focus. That was intentional. I wanted the background to be a little bit soft, so all the focus was actually on the foreground. So, sorry, on the foreground. So from that point of view, from a technical point of view, it works reasonably well. So what don't I like about it? Well, what I really don't like about it is the fact that, one, it doesn't meet with my original sort of preconceived expectations of what I was going to do, and also it's cut off here. I sort of like feel that it's two pictures. This tree should continue around, but there again, making it wider and including more of the landscape at the time, I don't know, for whatever reason I decided not to do it, and it was probably a mistake in hindsight. Anyway, this is kind of what I would call one of my ranging shots really, which when I'm working a location, trying to sort out what I believe the location should look like. What it does do, however, of course, it sort of frames Burrator Reservoir nicely in the background. This sort of fills up, this here fills up some of the empty space on this side, and the tree does the rest, and it kind of works reasonably well. So the medium focal length also compresses the perspective nicely. Like I say, the soft trees in the background is quite good. It allows you to focus on the textures in the images. But anyway, we sort of, there's a few bits and pieces there which I like. This sort of bothered me, the fact that these trees on the horizon were sort of not, no separation from the hawthorn tree itself. Had they been a little bit better, they could have been a point for you to sort of lead your eye into and look at. So that's where we are with that one. So let's go have a look at the second image. So the second image, it is in a way, I could say, a slight improvement, because it's kind of closer to what I originally wanted. I have got the whole tree in there. I have got some nice lighting in the sky, but maybe I've left it a little bit too late and I've lost some of the light. Of course, I'm shooting into the sunset, and that's kind of what I've been left with. It's kind of an image where maybe I could have done with maybe doing it a bit earlier and do a bit of exposure blending. So what do I like? Well, I like the foreground. I like this, gives it a nice solid sort of like base for the eye to sit on. I like the fact that the tree, sort of everything leans and points from left to right. It's quite a diagonal composition if you look at it. You've got from this bottom corner here, everything sort of points up to that top right, and we've just kept the tree in on the outside. There's a little bit of blurring on it. I'm not overly worried about that, because it is a fairly slow shutter speed. It's that sort of time of day, and that's what I've captured. I've done a reasonable amount of work on it in Photoshop. It won't be obvious in this original image, but I've done a bit to lift some of the tones, warm it a little bit, saturate some of the colours, graduate the sky, and just work with that. I was quite happy for the tree to form almost into silhouette, because it's more about its shape than anything else. So this image I actually quite like and worked out well, but it still doesn't meet what my original sort of like preconceived idea was. Anyway, it's something to sort of go back to next time and sort of like think about, well, next year I need to get up a bit earlier and try and repeat the image when the tree is in blossom, and see what I can get out of that, see how that works. So here's a question for you to think about, really, and maybe something I'll come back to later on. So do preconceived ideas help or hinder our photography? For me, I guess it depends a lot on sort of like personal style. Time behind the camera is precious, so I try and remain flexible and make the image something at the time, or if nothing else, learn from every trip. So even if it doesn't work out, you learn something from it. We've got to stay flexible as photographers. We've got to be able to adapt to the landscape and sort of almost adopt the chance of being out in the landscape and enjoying what we're seeing and what we're looking at, and being there in that moment is almost more important than actually taking the photograph itself. And if you get a good image and you go home with it, then that's great. That's a bonus. But if nothing else, you've learned something about the location and when you can photograph it and when to go back to it. So I hope you found this critique useful. And obviously, I'm encouraging people to join in and put your comments, below in the comments on the video. So I'll be interested to see that. I will do my utmost best to reply to every single one. If I don't reply right away, I do read them all, and I'll get back to you and reply online later on. The other thing, of course, as well, is that I'm encouraging people to sort of share this inside their other sort of groups. So share it over to Facebook, to Twitter, to all your social accounts, and see if we can get some more people joining in the conversation about about preconceived sort of like ideas with photography and art even, or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see people's different views. Sorry, excuse me. So folks, it just leaves me to sort of wrap up the video. So I hope you all enjoyed the video this week, and obviously help me out by subscribing, and don't forget to hit the bell icon when you do. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down as well, and please, whatever you do, please comment below. Most of all, enjoy your photography this week, stay safe, and I'm going to see you next time.